In a world where everyone is rushing to be heard, very few are truly listening. Today's episode is about slowing down, tuning in, and rediscovering one of the most underrated leadership skills, which is deep listening. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Thought Buzz. Our guest today is Mr. Angad Singh, the founder of the Listening Circle, a space that creates conversations where people are not judged and they speak without any agenda or interruption. With over 17 years of experience, Angad helps individuals and leaders reconnect with empathy, presence, and real human connection. He's currently working with Mercer, where he's part of their learning and development journey as an associate director. Hi, Angad. Welcome to the Thought Buzz. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so very much, Kelsey. When I heard from the first time Angad is the founder of Listening Circle, I was like, oh, am I? I thought about it and I did started it, but I never thought of it as a founding thing. But yeah, when I hear it, it feels good. So thank you. Thank you for introducing it like that. But it is still an experiment. I would like to see where it goes and how this thing shapes up, but I'm really excited about it.
Lovely. And I think, Angad, even I want to know, what is the listening circle and how did it begin and what is the inspiration behind it? So if you could enlighten us, please.
In my professional space, I conduct workshops. And as a facilitator, it is my responsibility to create safe spaces where people can open up and indulge into experiences, which then will later help them to reflect and learn, right? If you are not creating a space in which they feel safe enough to open up, the learning will never seep in, right? So it has always been my endeavor that you create a space where people are not constrained, people are not restricted, right? I think until unless you do not transform into that condition, uh, you are not opening yourself to any new ideas, to any new perspectives. You would not like to alter your ways because you're always guarding them up. Okay. And in those spaces, though they were safe enough, right? But I still believe that even in those spaces, there's always an agenda that is being driven, right? There has to be learning outcome. There has to be next steps. There has to be an action which has to be attained post that workshop. And that made me think that then even if not in that space where I have to make it safe enough, even that has an objective or apparently a goal to reach to, then where are those spaces where we could just be present, right? And not thinking that what after it. So that is where like that idea conceptualized that wouldn't it be fantastic if we have a place where we just have to be present, not worry about like where to go from here, how to build further on it. So that's what made me think that I want to create such spaces where people just come, express what they actually feel, what have they experienced, and just share what they think on a particular matter without being interrupted, without somebody telling them that, oh, if you're thinking like that, have you considered it? Because I think even well direction questions, like where you are not intending to fix them, but if there are interruptions, it builds resistance in your head. And then you're not actually saying what you really want to say, but you are saying to either get that validation from the other person or to impress the other person or just to try to prove a point. But if you're not trying to prove a point, if you're just saying what you really feel, I think it just makes you listen better. It helps you to build that spiritual connection with you. It helps you to listen more clearly and more honestly what your heart is telling you. How do you think? And again, as I said, it's an experiment, it's an endeavor. It's still at a very nascent stage. I'm very fortunate to have people around me with whom, when I shared this idea, they gave me time and their perspectives that, hey, this is how uh, we can build that space and we would love to be a part of it. So yeah, it's turning out well so far.
Lovely. And I think a very refreshing insight and perspective, I would say, that you have just shared. And today's in today's date, Angad, everybody is talking about public speaking, motivational speaking. And in this era, you're actually focusing on listening. Why do you think listening, or active listening or deep listening, whatever term we may use, why is it important in today's context?
I think there is plethora of resources, insights, wisdom that is available. There are a lot of people who are willing to just share what they have in their head. again, if you're not listening, where is all that going? Okay. I think listening in itself is one skill which will help you to build other skills. Like if you're a better listener, you can collaborate better, you can understand better, you could be a better leader because by the virtue of how you make the other person feel when the other person is talking to you, you are winning their trust. You're building that capability that the other person can just be themselves in front of you. I think deep listening let you who you are, right? In today's day and age where radicalization is on a rise, where polarization is on a rise, it is my noise versus your noise. And it's a noise because both of us are focusing on expressing it out. If either one of them focus on listening, truly listening and understanding where that person is coming from. Okay. And I think the distinction between listening and deep listening, or hearing, listening, and deep listening. In hearing, you just hear the words. Like that just shows that your senses are working. Like you have ears who are functioning. So hence you can hear the word. Listening is that you can somewhat understand also what they're saying. I think deep listening goes to the point that why are they saying that? Where is that stemming out from? Okay, what state of mind are they in that they have built this perspective? I think that's where the deep listening will really help to bridge that gap that is very persistently evident in the world where everybody feel that, oh, my thoughts are unheard, nobody understands me. And I think if we start listening to each other, hence understanding each other, hence empathizing each other, it will be a much better world to live in.
Absolutely. I definitely agree on this. And this actually brings me to the next question, something that I really want to ask you. I was going through some of your posts, and then, there was this one post that actually caught me where you said that, you're prepared for some kind of presentation, for some meeting, but then, the conversation just went on, and there was no agenda, as such, that was discussed. So could you maybe share some insight, on that?
I think you're referring to the post about the first listening circle. So when I was preparing to host the first listening circle, I, I conduct workshops every day. And as I said, it's my job to create such spaces where people can share and express. But I have a very significant role in those workshops. Okay, being a facilitator, I facilitate the conversations, right? So if somebody says something, I try to sum it up. I try to link it to the other people. I try to drive that conversations and lead it to a further point. And I was like, is that the role that I would also like to do in the listening circle? And making this space distinctive. How am I making the space different than what I've been doing in my workshops? And then it made more clear to me that, I am not the one who's leading the conversations over here. I am not the one who's facilitating the conversations here. My entire responsibility is to hold the space. And what it truly means to hold the space is that I should be comfortable with silence. I should be okay if the conversation is digressing in a direction that I did not anticipate. Because when that was happening, and I would like to be really honest, I was a little uncomfortable at first because it doesn't come very naturally. But then I says, oh, okay, it's not just my space, it's everybody's space, right? That person is in a flow. And if I try to direct it to someplace else, it may not become it may not become as candid for him or her. And I'm like, okay, let's just hold back. Let's just see where it goes. Though I'm getting a little uncomfortable, but let's just see where that uncomfortability takes me. And what worked out is that I was able to listen beyond that uncomfortability. I was not in control. I couldn't steer where the conversation goes. And I think that's what really brought the magic in because people were able to take it to the direction they want. And it is a direction that was very self-driven from them. I think when you build such spaces where there are no constraints, there are no boundaries, there are no markers that you cannot cross and you should, it it actually takes you to places internal. It makes you think inside. I think even those people when they were saying, because they know that they will not be interrupted, they were not trying to impress. They were just like the noise, it just disappeared. I felt for myself and I felt it for them, and it resonated when they said it later. That's exactly like it was kind of a transient state that you get into where you're not trying to impress someone, where you're not trying to put a point because you want to earn that brownie points or you want to come across profound or impressive or wise. You're just saying because you really mean it.
Great. And I think, now that you're saying these things, that it's actually taking me through a journey where, we even observe it in our day-to-day lives that whatever you are talking, we definitely have some kind of agenda or, hidden agenda, behind whatever we are talking. So I think, the listening circle focuses, on that very soft spot where we actually want to say something, but, without trying to impress anyone. And that's, I think that's quite impressive. How was the first listening circle session, Angad? If you'd like to share, I'm really intrigued to know. How did the participants feel? What was their reaction after the session? What did they feel? So, if you could share something on that.
Like, I haven't had a chance to touch base with them about their experience, like in details. I haven't taken any feedback from them. I'm planning to. But I'm saying it's only been a week. Let that thing sink in. Okay. Um, what I could gauge from their comments on the posts that I have put, I think uh, what I felt, like how I was perceiving it, that, oh, it's becoming that space where you're actually being liberated. I think they felt the same. And that's what I could gauge through their comments on the posts that I have made, is that it didn't feel like that we are trying to conclude, okay, or we are trying to ensure that everybody gets on the same page. Um, there was an ease with the silence, right? Because I do had few pointers. I did came up that because we're going to talk about happiness. What aspects of happiness are we talking about, right? And I thought that would probably these are two, three things that we would like to touch upon. But to be very honest, after the initial context setting, I don't think I had to set in anything. I did not say I did not even pop the question again, or I did not even say, oh, that's what we're going to talk about. It just automatically started driving in a direction. And all those things that I wanted to cover, they were covered automatically because they were so natural in our experiences and in our perceptions. And we ended up covering much more, right? Though the time that we kept was for 1.5 hours. Okay. I think we were about at 1:45 when the first person said, "No, I'm loving it, but I have to drop off because I have something to take personal commitment of." And even after that, that one person dropped, the other was still on the call, and we were still going on. So if it can if it can make you forget the flow of time, and if it can make you forget about the worries that you have outside, and if you can immerse yourself into a space, I think that's a good indicator that it was a good experience for them. Much see that they are trying to absorb in. And I think I only started observing it after 15 seconds, because of the first 15 seconds, I was also observing that, oh, this is what she has said, and that's what she means, and this is where probably she might be coming from. And I see, oh, everybody is probably doing the same thing. Everybody is deep into reflecting upon or doing an introspection. I think it is a wonderful place. Let's see where it goes. I'm really excited.
Lovely, lovely. I think it's great to know about this kind of a circle that exists, and yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more insight on this as you proceed in this venture. Now, I really
I
want to
would
know
say, I would
something.
say, I
Yeah,
would say be a part of it. Don't
absolutely,
don't, don't
absolutely. I would love
experience
to.
it from outside. Be a part of the circle.
I'll take this as an invitation, so I'll
Yes,
definitely
yes.
join one for sure. Perfect. Now, Angad, I want to know something about your corporate journey. You can also call it as your L&D journey. I want to understand that now, reflecting on your journey across different roles, that you've evolved through. What has been your biggest learning so far? Maybe if you can tell us about, let's say, top three learnings, that you want the audience to hear and maybe learn from it.
I started my career as an actuarial professional. Okay, I think I cleared 6 exams. It's a very niche profession, very highly respected, very knowledge intensive, and it pays you well. It pays you really well because it's still a very specialized skill set. It still has its application at a very critical situations in our lives, so it pays you really, really well. Okay, I had cleared 6 exams, right? So I was almost halfway through, if not exactly halfway through, almost halfway through in becoming an actuary, which is very well respected, very well credentiated, very well accoladed and accredited. But what I realized is that it gets the best out of me. It didn't get the best out of me. I think I've always been a people person. I realize that I feel more energized if I get opportunities to work along with people. interact with them, get them to conversations, and probably build a space where everybody is being collaborative. And in my actual job, I was expected to sit in front of a computer and create models which would make business sense. And I was like, oh, this is not what get me going. And then I realized the only part of my actuarial job that I really, really like and look forward to is that when there's an opportunity that whatever I have learned through my experience, I get to impart it to new joinees or apparently do a knowledge sharing sessions with my peers. And I'm like, oh, this is so amazing. Like, I would like to do it differently. I like to create it engaging. And I think just because I was putting efforts into that, it was reflected in the feedback I used to get to hear from almost everybody that when you hold a session, we really look forward to it, right? We see that you put efforts and we have a good time, and it also helps us to retain better. Just happens more naturally, right? And I'm like, wow, if it's working out for you and it's getting my juices going, what am I doing? So then what I did, I reached out to my leadership team in my then organization, Aeon, and I says, you know what, I would like to do this. I would like to do this full time. And what I can do, I can create a business case for you that currently you've been holding your training in this way and it yields you this much result. As in it prepares your audience in about 6 months to do the job. I think I can, with my methods, and because I understand the process and I understand the pulse what works out, I can reduce the time invested and I can even improve the quality of the results that one creates after just 3 months of training rather than 6 months you're doing it. So I created a business case. It works out really well. The results started showing up, and they're like, "Yeah, go ahead, do this full time." And that's how my L&D journey started. Though initially I was just into process and domain training, but I think because of my interest and because of my passion, I was making myself available at every situation whenever I had to be in the front. And I got noticed, and they were like, "Hey, why are you restricting it to just domain and processes? So do other things as well. Go into capability, go into softer skills, go into leadership skills." Like, yeah, why not? And they gave me opportunities. Right. So the first thing that I learned is that if you want people to really start seeing value in you, you have to back yourself up. Right. Though there's no denial, I'm very thankful for everybody who, in spite of my non-training background, who, in spite of not seeing whether I have performed on those lines or not, they just looked into the potential. And I'm really, really thankful that there were nice people around me. But I believe those opportunities can only show up when you being nice to yourself and you back yourself up. If you want somebody to have faith in you, you first need to have faith in yourself, right? And since then, it's been an absolute wonderful life that I've been living because every day when I get up, I get to do what I absolutely love to do. Okay. I think more than my profession, it is my purpose. And I get to commit to it on everyday basis. It's amazing. Okay. Then again, because the virtue of my profession, before I send everybody else to do and become competent and skillful on something, I become the lab rat in the sense that until you go and do that certification, do you understand this is a good fit for our business? So hence, I was subjected to a lot of certifications, insights, crucial conversations, artificial intelligence, train the trainer, and I was like, wow, I love to learn, and I'm getting a lot of investments. So even within my friends, I think most of the time I barely say much. I listen a lot, and I just love it because you're learning from other people's experience and perspective.
No, I think it is said that good listeners are always good learners, and I think you are living by it. And you also said something very beautiful that when profession becomes purpose, you're not just driving KRAs, you're driving growth. So I think that's a beautiful insight that you've shared with the audience today. And the catch is, I think, in actually identifying that calling.
See, again, now I have become very curious and I want to just go deep and understand more. So even if I now believe that, oh, I was drawn towards learning, and now I really want to understand why. Why did that happen for me? Because if I go into the genesis of it, I think I'll be able to understand and then probably help everybody around me to get to that state as well. Because it just makes you feel alive, a lot alive, right? Because then you're not just existing, uh, you are there in every moment and you're trying to make the best out of it. And it's a lovely way to live life. And I would like, oh, if that happens for everyone, the world will be a much better place to be.
So true. And awesome, awesome. I think, Angad, before we wrap this up, what's that one piece of advice you would like to, give our viewers, our listeners, especially the young ones who are actually starting, in the starting phase of their career? exactly at this juxtaposition where they are trying to find out their calling and trying to find out or figure out the purpose, and they're not confident enough. So that one piece of advice I think would be very helpful to them.
I think it's absolutely okay to be not confident. Uh, I think once you become more confident, you just shut yourself up because you believe, oh, you got a grip on it. Uh, Self-doubt is beautiful. Uh, it makes you think, right? Don't be in a perpetual self-doubt situation. That's not good either. But if you have self-doubt, you can still become a learner, right? If you are an eternally confident person, I'm not sure, like, could be possible. In my experience, what I've observed, I believe uh, if you are immensely confident about things, you are not leaving up anything further for exploration or understanding. Because confidence comes with certainty, and with certainty, there is not much space to explore. So if you're not confident, that's perfectly okay. Use that self-doubt for you rather than against you. But give its due credit that, yeah, self-doubt is okay. And you should be able to function with it. To be very honest, even with this podcast, I have my self-doubts. And I'm going to say the same thing. What is a learning mindset? Learning mindset just is very simple that whatever life throws at you, okay, uh, whether you deduce that you did it well, you didn't do it well, you passed, you failed, don't discount the experience that it comes along with, right? Anything that happened to you, good, bad, ugly, there was something that you experienced in it. With that experience, if you think it through, there is something that you can learn from it, right? And if you just focus on that experience and do not try to deduce whether I passed or failed, or do not try to self-evaluate, and just take the thing as it is, I think it's the best way to have a learning mindset, right? One of my friends once told me, I think you probably would have heard somewhere, is that problem is only a problem if you do not have skills to handle it. If you have the skills, it becomes a situation. So even if currently, if you believe you're in a problem and you are unable to manage it well, that's a very good indication that probably you need to upskill yourself. And the only way to upskill is by being in that situation. So do not, if you're in a situation, be in the situation, right? Those rough waters will make you a seasoned sailor. So be in that waters. If you start enjoying it, there is nothing in life that can deter you. So whatever life brings to you, say thank you, be grateful, get through it, build that muscle, and there will be no stop. You will become a better person by the end of it. Uh, Good, bad, ugly, still very selective, but a better for certain because you have used that experience to bring it to life. Right. So yeah, I think that's a perspective that I really want to.
Amazing. I think I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation so far, Angad, and I'm sure our viewers would also, love to listen to this entire thing and, gain some learning as well, based on their perspective. So I think it was lovely having you here, Angad, today. Thank you so very much for taking out time for this podcast. And we wish you really, the best for your, the listening circle journey. So I think, yes, that's about it.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you so much.